I just jump in there before you. In my experience, I've seen PMI certified managers that were lackluster, that I would not hire on my own staff. So that certification becomes a check the block. Yep, got that, good to go. Does that make you any good at it? No. So do we want to shoot ourselves in the foot with some type of artificial check the block? I would say no.
That's one of my interesting areas I've been working on for quite a while. Only a university can legitimize a degree, a field of body of knowledge. I mean, I don't like it, but that's the way it is, okay? Globally, only a university can give a degree, or some type of university. And again, as I said, the degree is the currency of the day. Despite what you said about paying money to learn for a course, you won't pay it at GW because it's too expensive. You come for the degree, and that's the currency of the day. I mean, you could be the best person in the world, but you cannot teach on the full-time faculty without a degree, a PhD, period. That's not even debatable. Right now, I've seen, as I mentioned to you, systems management, program management, software engineering management, information management become academic degrees, bodies of knowledge, to the degree of PMI. At systems engineer, we have INCOSE. I think we do need a global professional body to police us, just like the web has a professional body to police, or any degree worth anything needs a professional body. Who guards the guard? Who sanctions the sanctioner, you know? These are real questions. And only a body of, that I talked about, the WC3 governance, can legitimize certification, can even legitimize a university, even though we are legitimized ourselves by the fact that we are in a university. And we go through a process. I don't like the process. Denise knows it, Annie knows it. To get a course approved here at the university is you don't want to do it. I got a whole degree approved without any body of knowledge. I was lucky in 3 months, but I won't go into that. So you don't want to do that. But however, there is a process in place. So the short answer is we do need it. It's vital to us. And whether it produces because we know the American Medical Association, there's doctors I didn't even want to look at me, let alone operate on me, and yet they're certified. Doesn't mean that, you know, you're not going to get those bad apples, but at least we collectively, and this is the outcome, I think, of this whole program, because the curriculum is not an end in itself. It's just the beginning. And we do need a framework. You know, let me end it. I was thinking about the analogy of our Declaration of Independence and our Constitution. We had a Declaration of Independence. We need a declaration here that was based on principles. And our Constitution was a framework, and the framework was built around 3 branches of government that are so we need something to start this collectively, not just this group here. That's why I said the W3C, we need a declaration or principles and a framework on which we're going to build this thing. Now, whether we like to or not, my friends, the knowledge-based economy is leaving without us. We need to get on board and make it better because it's not waiting for it. That's why KM has not died. It's not a fad. It goes beyond the 5-year fad period. That's why there's a resurrection again, you know. Everyone still wants it, but you cannot operate, you cannot be wealthy without it.
I want to return to the part of the doing of KM. When I ask students to do things, to perform, to show evidence that they understand, I look at more than their production. I want to see if they have internalized it. And I think, Mike, you were beginning to touch on that in your last point. And I think that's an important thing for all of us to know. It is not just doing it, it's also internalizing it, integrating it into the way you think.
So, could I just add to that real quick? I totally agree. What I was looking for is a Chinese proverb. You may have heard this, but it's all interlinked with this whole discussion. And the proverb goes, "Tell me and I will forget, show me and I will remember, involve me and I will understand." And this doing part is about this internalization process. Do you really understand? And it becomes a personal value. Because without it being a personal value, it's not going to sustain itself.
And you have to be able to show evidence of that.
Absolutely. Evidence is critical.
Yeah. You have to be able to articulate that.
Yes. And that's part of the awareness part. Part of, like I said yesterday, all companies are knowledge-based. That doesn't mean that they understand that. And the work that they do, the doing that they do, is a transaction of information and knowledge that they call something else. So that exercise of knowledge management is making them knowledge aware, so they have something they can talk about. They know what it is.
Okay, we got Michael over here.
One of the elements we have available that we can apply very easily to do that integration is the social constructivist models of education. So we have Piaget, we have Cole, and all of them have demonstrated that a 75 to 85% retention rate takes place with immersive, experimental, realistic projects or initiatives. The textbook learning can be picked up during that process. And one of the things we sometimes forget is that these models of education actually suggest that the learners can teach themselves to learn. So for us to assume it takes us as the sage on the stage to initiate or facilitate that learning is bogus. However, we have to have a framework for them to work in which they can be mentored and coached. And none of us would want to fly in that plane by the individual that read the book on thermodynamics and aviation. They have to go through simulations, hours of simulations, hours of sitting beside a master pilot. And I would, again, hold out the idea that as we build a curriculum, could we build it on a positive medieval model of mentorship, mastery, fellowcraft, apprenticeship?
You're going to destroy the whole PhD community, Michael. You never did that. That was my goal when I came in.
We're actually at the end of the hour, and Denise has it.
I just wanted to say that I totally agree with what Michael just said, and I just want to give you an example. You know, yesterday we were talking about how good knowledge professionals and workers have to have personal characteristics, right? But I believe, based on evidence this past year, that you can learn those in many ways. Just an example, Denise and Madeline taught a course in business narrative and storytelling for us this past semester. And so many of the students told me that it was, you know, all I want is for there to be an impact, right, out of these courses, for them to learn something and go out and do something great. But so many of these students came to me and said, you know, that course was life-changing. You know, I internalized it to such a degree that they changed the way that they talk, they communicate, etc. The other thing I think is really important in knowledge management education, regardless of what level you do it, is the community in which you're learning, which I think is what Michael is talking about as well. Only teaching knowledge management in one particular business area, only having folks from the oil or energy, only having people from healthcare is not good. Okay? You need to have people from all disciplines mixed up, because that's the only way they see the broad, and they will learn as much from their colleagues as they do from the instructor.
Great conversation. Hey, we stuck with it too, didn't we? You got long. One real quick, okay. Last minute, last word.
This is Reese, and just to bounce off what Dr. Sutton mentioned here, and that brought up Cole, and one of the things that I found extremely helpful in helping mentor and share with people is reflective learning. So Cole's model on reflective learning is a key, and that helps them go back and go through their internalization down to externalize it on a piece of paper to be able to reflect on it and really appreciate it. And it was introduced to me early on. I use it with the people, like I said, the people I mentor on a regular basis, and they're not students of mine. These are people who hopefully I'm helping understand and become passionate about the discipline.